In a world where everyone is quick to react, quick to defend, argue, explode, the real power belongs to the one who remains still, the one who doesn't take the bait, the one who watches the storm without becoming it. The Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." Let that sink in, because the moment you react, you give your power away. But when you master the mind, when you train yourself to respond with silence instead of rage, no one can control you, not with words, not with chaos, not with fear. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, to rise so far above the noise that nothing can touch your peace. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 powerful lessons that will train your mind to do exactly that. First, if you're tired of being triggered, if you want to become untouchable, unshakable, and deeply calm, then listen closely, because once you understand this, you'll never react the same way again. 1. Detachment is the key to inner power. In this world, most people live like leaves in the wind, tossed around by opinions, emotions, and circumstances they cannot control. One harsh word from someone and their entire mood collapses, one small failure and they begin to question their worth. This happens because they are attached to approval, success, comfort, reputation, and outcomes. Buddhism refers to this as upadana, which means clinging or grasping. It's this mental and emotional clinging that becomes the root of suffering. The Buddha taught that suffering doesn't come from what happens to you, but from how tightly you cling to what you want to happen. You cling to being liked, to being right, to being in control. And every time life does not meet your expectations, your peace is shattered. Why? Because your happiness was never truly yours. It was rented out to external things. But here's the shift. When you begin to practice detachment, not from love or compassion, but from expectations and control, something remarkable happens. You realize that nothing outside of you has the power to disturb your inner stillness unless you give it that power. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care deeply, but with wisdom. You show up with love. You act with intention, but you no longer tie your identity to the result. Whether someone praises you or insults you, it doesn't move you. Whether you win or lose, it doesn't define you. Your center remains still. This is not coldness, this is clarity. Because when you stop reacting emotionally to everything, you create space. And in that space, peace grows. When you truly detach, you become like a tree in a storm, rooted, calm, and unshaken. If someone insults you, you don't need to respond. You smile because you understand. Their words are a reflection of them, not you. If someone praises you, you smile the same way, because you know your value was never based on what anyone thought in the first place. This is inner power. The person who no longer depends on anything external to feel okay becomes untouchable. You don't react. You don't resist. You observe. You breathe. You let go. And in that letting go, you stop being controlled by the world and start mastering yourself. That's when true peace begins. And from that peace, unshakable power rises. 2. Observe. Don't absorb. One of the greatest skills Buddhism teaches is the art of watching without reacting. Life constantly throws emotions, words, and energies at you, some pleasant, many unpleasant. People project their pain, their insecurities, their anger. Situations arise that seem unfair or frustrating. And in those moments, most people absorb everything. They carry it in their chest, let it swirl in their minds, and soon they become what they were reacting to. They get angry because someone else was angry. They feel heavy because someone else dumped their negativity on them. But here's the truth. You don't have to absorb the energy around you. You can observe it and let it pass. Buddhist mindfulness practice, especially through vipassana meditation, trains your mind to become like a still lake. No matter what drops into it, a stone, a leaf, a storm, it creates ripples, yes, but it always returns to stillness. In the same way, your mind can witness what's happening without becoming what's happening. When someone speaks with anger, observe the anger, but don't catch it. See it for what it is, a temporary wave passing through their own suffering. When someone criticizes you unfairly, notice how it affects your body and mind, but don't become that reaction. Breathe, watch, let it rise and let it fall. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them, the silent observer that remains steady no matter how loud the mind becomes. This awareness gives you freedom because once you realize that every feeling, every thought, every judgment is just a passing cloud, you stop chasing them, you stop fearing them, you stop letting them control your behavior. Think of it like this. If someone hands you a burning coal, but you don't grab it, you don't get burned. But if you grab it and hold on to it, now you suffer. That's what absorbing others' negativity does to you. It turns you into a mirror for their pain. But when you observe instead of absorb, you create emotional distance. You stay grounded. You stay light. And no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you are no longer ruled by it. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Because the most powerful person is not the one who controls others. It's the one who has learned to control themselves. So next time the world throws something at you, pause. Don't react. Watch it. Breathe through it. Let it pass. You are not here to carry everyone's energy. You are here to stand in your own. 3. The power is always in the pause. In every difficult moment, before the explosion, before the regret, before the storm, there's a tiny space, a brief moment between what happens to you and how you respond. That moment is small. Most people miss it. But that moment is everything. The Buddha understood this deeply. He taught that we are not prisoners of what happens. We become prisoners of our automatic reactions. And those reactions are fast. Someone insults you, and the ego wants to snap back. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and anger surges like a fire. A challenge appears, and fear grips you instantly. But here's the truth. You are not that first emotion. You are not the knee-jerk reaction. You are the one who can pause and choose. That pause is power. That pause is freedom. In that brief moment, if you train yourself, you can take a breath, come back to your center, and ask, what is the wise response here? Not the emotional one, not the habitual one, but the conscious one. Most suffering begins because we react blindly. We say words we don't mean. We take actions we later regret. And all of it happens because we let emotions hijack the moment. But when you insert a pause, just a breath, a heartbeat of stillness, you break the pattern. You interrupt the storm before it floods your mind. You step out of your conditioned habits and into awareness. Buddhist practice trains this through meditation. You sit, you watch the breath. A thought comes, a sensation arises, but you don't act. You pause. This rewires your brain. It teaches you to feel without reacting, to notice without being controlled. The more you practice this, the stronger your pause becomes. You go from instantly reacting to instantly observing. You learn to speak not to hurt, but to heal. You learn to act not out of impulse, but from grounded clarity. And over time, you realize the pause didn't just prevent damage. It created space for wisdom. You didn't just avoid reacting, you rose above the chaos. That's real strength. Not how fast you react, but how deeply you can pause. Because in that pause, you gain your power back. You reclaim your inner space. And from that stillness, you move with intention, not emotion. So next time something shakes you, remember, you don't have to react. You can pause, you can breathe, and in that breath, you become free. 4. Let the fire burn out on its own. When someone throws anger at you, the natural instinct is to throw it back. You feel the heat rising in your chest, your thoughts race, and suddenly you're in a battle of emotions, trying to prove, defend, or destroy. But Buddhism offers a radical and liberating truth. You don't have to fuel the fire. You can let it burn out on its own. The Buddha taught that hatred is never ended by hatred. Not once in human history has more anger healed another's anger. Only non-hatred, only understanding and stillness can bring peace. When someone directs negativity toward you, they are handing you a torch. If you take it, the fire spreads. But if you refuse to pick it up, it dies. That's what inner mastery looks like. It's not about being passive or weak. It's about knowing that engaging in every argument, defending yourself against every insult, and reacting to every provocation drains your peace and strengthens your ego. The ego wants to fight, but the soul wants to stay free. Imagine this. Someone comes to you full of rage. They scream, they insult, but you remain calm. You don't argue. You don't defend. You simply let them speak. And when they're done, you choose silence. No reaction, no emotional response, just presence. At first, it may confuse them. Then, it disarms them. Because they realize something they never expected. They can no longer control you. Your refusal to respond is not weakness. It's a higher form of power. Because when you don't return anger with anger, you don't carry it in your heart. You stay light. You stay free. Think of it like this. If someone hands you a heavy rock and you refuse to carry it, who holds the burden? They do. That's exactly what happens with emotional fire. If you don't pick it up, it stays with them and slowly extinguishes on its own. Letting the fire burn out also protects your mind. Every reaction you make strengthens a habit in the brain. If you keep responding to negativity with more negativity, you train yourself to be reactive, angry, and unstable. But if you consistently choose calmness and space, you rewire your mind for peace, for wisdom, for control. You become like a stone temple in the middle of a storm. No matter how hard the wind blows, it cannot be moved. That's who you're becoming. A person whose peace can't be disturbed because you've learned that your energy is sacred and you refuse to waste it on meaningless fires. So next time someone tries to pull you into their drama, ask yourself, is it worth my peace? Do I need to light my own soul on fire just to win this moment? The answer is no. Stay quiet. Stay centered. Let their fire burn out while you remain untouched by the flames, because your peace is not something they can take. It's something you protect with your silence, your awareness, and your refusal to be moved. 5. Silence is the language of the wise. In a world where noise is constant, opinions are loud, and everyone seems to be in a race to be heard, silence has become rare and powerful. Buddhism teaches us that silence is not simply the absence of words. It is the presence of deep awareness. It is the space where wisdom lives. In the Dhammapada, it is written, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace," and sometimes even that one word is unnecessary. The person who has mastered silence doesn't need to explain themselves. They don't need to fight for attention or prove their worth or outtalk anyone. They speak when it is necessary. They stay silent when it is wise. And when they do speak, their words carry weight because they are rooted in clarity, not reaction. You see, when you speak from a place of ego, you often say things that bring regret. You say too much. You defend too hard. You argue too long. You lose your peace just to win an argument that in the end didn't matter. But when you begin to cultivate inner silence, you realize that not every action deserves a response. Not every opinion needs a reaction. Not every insult needs to be answered. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk over you. It means you have become so secure within yourself that you no longer feel the need to prove anything. You realize that your worth is not found in how loud your voice is, but in how steady your spirit remains. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It is the ability to stay grounded when provoked. It is the decision to not let external chaos stir your internal peace. When someone attacks you with words, you are faced with two choices. You can react, defend, and fire back, playing the same game of ego. Or you can remain silent, not out of fear, but out of deep understanding, because you know their words are a reflection of them, not you. And here is where silence becomes your armor. Imagine someone shouting at you, trying to provoke you, expecting you to break. But you say nothing. You look at them not with hate, not with arrogance, but with complete stillness. That stillness speaks louder than any words could. It says, "I do not fear you. I do not need your validation, and I will not give you the power to control my state of mind." That is power. That is spiritual maturity. And that is the language of the wise. The Buddha himself was a master of silence. He would sit quietly when questioned by those who wanted to trap him with words. He knew engaging with ignorance often fuels it. Silence, on the other hand, often dissolves it. When you choose silence over reaction, you do three things. You protect your energy. Words are powerful. Engaging in constant debates and emotional reactions drains your mental energy. When you stay silent, you save that energy for what truly matters. Your inner growth, your peace, your purpose. You gain clarity. In silence, you can observe clearly. You can see the situation for what it really is. You can notice your own emotional response before it explodes. And when you do choose to speak, your words come from wisdom, not from wounds. You break the pattern. Most people expect a reaction. They thrive on conflict. Your silence short-circuits their control. It leaves them confused, powerless. They cannot play with someone who refuses to enter the game. This is why monks, sages, and wise masters throughout history have embraced silence, not just as a practice, but as a way of life. Because silence is healing. Silence is discipline. Silence is strength in its purest form. And here's something powerful. Silence isn't only about not speaking to others. It's about learning to be silent with yourself. How often do we drown in mental noise, judging ourselves, worrying, reliving the past, fearing the future? True silence is when your thoughts no longer control you, when your mind becomes still like a calm lake, and your awareness simply observes without fear, without craving, without noise. That kind of silence is not just powerful, it's transformational. So if you truly want to become untriggerable, if you want to live from a place of deep peace, begin with this practice. Don't rush to speak. Don't respond out of impulse. Breathe. Pause. And ask yourself, is this silence more powerful than anything I could say right now? Most of the time, it is. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. Silence means everything is happening internally. It's in that silence that you grow. It's in that silence that you heal. And it's in that silence that you discover the power you've always had, but were too distracted to notice. 6. Acceptance ends all suffering. At the heart of Buddhist wisdom lies a truth that many struggle to face. Suffering is not caused by what happens to us, but by how we resist what happens. We suffer not because life is difficult, but because we believe it shouldn't be. We resist the pain, the loss, the discomfort, the unfairness. And in that resistance, we create a storm inside ourselves. The Buddha taught that all suffering arises from craving, from wanting reality to be something other than it is. We crave certainty in an uncertain world. We crave comfort in a world that constantly shifts. We crave control in a universe that owes us none. But life will not always go according to your plan. People will hurt you. Dreams will break. Health will fade. Loved ones will leave. And no amount of control, worry, or resistance will change that. That's why acceptance isn't weakness. Acceptance is liberation. Now let's be clear. Acceptance does not mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you approve of injustice, betrayal, or failure. It means you stop fighting reality with your mind. You let go of the mental war that keeps you stuck, bitter, and exhausted. When something painful happens, your first instinct might be to say this shouldn't be happening, but that thought alone doubles your suffering. You feel the pain of the event and the pain of resistance. Acceptance, on the other hand, is saying this is what is. I don't have to love it, but I don't have to fight it either. Imagine you're caught in the rain with no umbrella. You can scream at the sky, curse the clouds, and get angry about being wet. Or you can breathe, feel the raindrops, and simply walk. Either way, you're getting wet. But only one path brings peace. This is what Buddhist acceptance looks like. It's an internal surrender to the truth of the moment. Not because you're giving up, but because you're waking up. You're waking up to the reality that resisting the present moment only deepens your suffering. You're waking up to the understanding that peace doesn't come from changing what is, but from being at peace with what is. This doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop arguing with life as it unfolds. You do what you can. You change what is within your control, but you no longer poison your soul with rejection of what's beyond it. Acceptance also frees you from people's behavior. You can't control how others act. People may disrespect you, misunderstand you, or treat you poorly. You could spend your whole life trying to change them, or you can accept who they are and set clear boundaries from a place of calm, not anger. When you accept others as they are, not with defeat but with awareness, you take back your emotional power. You stop needing them to act a certain way to feel okay. You stop being controlled by their behavior and instead live from a place of inner balance. Even with yourself, acceptance is the first step toward change. You cannot change what you have not accepted. You cannot heal from something you are still denying. Accept your flaws, your mistakes, your darker sides, not because you want to remain there, but because only through full awareness can you begin to grow. And here is the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop resisting your pain, it slowly softens. The moment you stop running from your fear, it starts to lose its hold. The moment you say, "This is how things are right now," you create space for peace to enter. Acceptance is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the moment you stop pushing and start flowing. You stop being trapped by outcomes and begin becoming the master of your inner world. Let's go deeper. When you accept life, you align yourself with reality. And in that alignment, things start to shift, not because you force them, but because you no longer block them with resistance. Peace, clarity, and strength begin to appear naturally. You are no longer swimming against the current of life. You are flowing with it, adjusting with grace, moving with wisdom. This does not mean life becomes easier. It means you become stronger. You are no longer shaken by every change, every loss, or every discomfort. Breathe, feel, and allow it to be. You do not have to like it. You do not have to remain in it. But you do not have to fight it either. Acceptance is your doorway to freedom. It does not remove the challenge, but it removes the suffering around the challenge. It opens your heart to clarity and shows you what comes next, without the noise of resistance clouding your mind. Because once you learn to accept what is, fully and openly, without judgment, you become the calm within the storm. You stop being a victim of circumstances, you stop being ruled by fear, and you begin to walk through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows, I can face whatever comes because I no longer need to fight it. That is real peace. And that peace is available to you right now, not when life becomes easier, but when you stop resisting it. The compound effect of focused energy creating lasting change in your life. In the teachings of the Buddha, there is a principle that often goes unnoticed, yet it quietly guides the transformation of every serious practitioner. It is the principle of compounded attention, where small and consistent actions of the mind, repeated over time, lead to deep and lasting change. In Buddhism, this is closely connected with the idea of bhavana, the cultivation of mental qualities through continuous practice. In simple terms, it means this: where you place your energy, your life begins to move. And when that focus is steady, when it is calm and intentional, even the smallest inner efforts become very powerful over time. But here is the challenge most people face. They spread their energy everywhere. They get triggered by every comment, distracted by every notification, pulled by every emotional wave. Their attention jumps from past regrets to future worries, from social media to inner drama, from goals to doubt, from stillness to chaos, every few minutes. This scattered attention is not only exhausting, it is powerless. It drains your energy, keeps your mind reactive, and leaves your spirit restless. Buddhism teaches the opposite path. It says, bring your energy back, return your attention to the present moment, train it, sharpen it, focus it like a beam of light, and then guide that focused energy toward growth, peace, and clarity. This is not something you do just once. It is something you practice every day, with every breath, with every reaction you choose not to follow, with every negative thought you observe instead of chasing, with every moment of stillness in the middle of noise. And what happens over time is both beautiful and almost invisible. You begin to change from within, not because you forced it, but because you cared for it. Let us see this clearly. Imagine a drop of water falling on the same stone every day. One drop may seem like nothing, but drop after drop after drop, over time, the stone slowly changes shape. Your mind works in the same way. Each moment you return to awareness, you reshape it. Each time you choose presence over reaction, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you sit in silence instead of striking back, you build inner strength. These small choices may seem tiny in the moment, but over time they accumulate. They create lasting change that becomes part of you, not because you are pushing too hard, but because you have trained yourself well. This is what brings real transformation. Not sudden bursts of motivation, not big promises, but steady focus, quiet discipline, and daily mindfulness. And here is the wonder. The more you turn your energy inward, the more peace you feel outward. The more grounded you become, the less the world can disturb you. And the more present you are, the more life begins to move in harmony with your spirit. This is not about being perfect. It is about alignment. You begin to live in tune with what matters most, your values, your inner truth, your path. Distractions lose their hold. Triggers lose their power, and peace is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you live. Now some may ask, but what if I have failed before? What if my focus drifts? What if I lose control sometimes? The answer is simple. Begin again, then begin again, and again, and again. That is the path of practice. Even great monks, even masters have wandered in thought, stumbled in emotion, and slipped into old habits. But they always returned. They brought their focus back. And with every return, they became stronger. You do not need perfection to change your life. You only need to stay committed to returning, to your breath, to your center, to your practice. This kind of focused energy is not harsh. It is not about forcing or pushing. It's about remembering again and again what truly matters and allowing your actions, words, and thoughts to slowly come into alignment with it. Over time, your nervous system begins to relax, your reactions slow down, your breathing becomes deeper, and your presence is felt not only by you, but also by the people around you. You become the kind of person whose calmness influences others, whose silence speaks louder than words, whose energy does not move with the wind, because you have trained yourself, moment by moment, choice by choice, to become unshakable. That is the compounded power of focused energy, and that is what Buddhism teaches us. You do not need to conquer the world. You only need to fully master this moment, with mindfulness, with intention, and then repeat it. One breath at a time, one pause at a time, one moment of presence at a time. And when you do this, your whole life begins to shift, not suddenly, but deeply, lastingly, and beautifully. Now you see the goal is not to control the world. The goal is to master yourself. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to respond to every insult. You do not need to be understood by everyone or approved by anyone, because true peace, the kind that cannot be shaken, does not come from changing the outside. It comes from transforming the inside through letting go. You release the things that once weighed you down through awareness. You learn to see clearly without being pulled by every wave, through the pause. You take back your power before your emotions take control, through non-reaction. You allow the fires to burn out without adding more fuel. Through silence, you rise above the noise and become a presence of steady strength. Through acceptance, you stop resisting reality and begin to flow with it. And through focused energy, you slowly and quietly reshape your entire life from within. This is not a change that happens overnight. It is a daily practice, a moment-to-moment return to stillness. But the more you walk this path, the more unshakable you become. People may still try to provoke you, life may still test you, but you will no longer be controlled by it. You will observe it, you will understand it, and you will remain untouched by it. That is real freedom. That is true strength. So the next time life tries to throw you off balance, remember, you are the mountain. You are the silence. You are the space between stimulus and response, and in that space, nothing can reach you.